YouTube's alert, the Twitch alert. All right. I didn't get the alert from YouTube, but that's quite all right.
Yeah, YouTube it still says connect streaming software. You're live.
There it is. Oh, that's Twitch. YouTube should be falling in shortly.
Nothing yet, but I feel like this is what happened last time.
Yeah.
And then you came up and you did things. So
Yeah.
if you want to do things.
All I did was...
Just got to refresh the YouTubes.
Nah, I just open up a different YouTube. There we go.
Okay, let's see if I remember how to do that. Can we do this again?
I leave YouTube Studio up on the tab. Oh, why is it so warm out today?
It is very warm out today. Are we live on YouTubes?
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome back to the party. Me and Levi. Let's get your name right. Levi, that guy. Still working on our penny scroll thingies. The double penny scroll hook. Ideally, I don't know if Levi's overly happy with how his turned out, so I think he's starting over.
Yep.
I'm going to continue working on mine because I think I can pull it out of the tailspin that I'm currently in with it. And then after, or during, we're going to go loosey-goosey today. I think we're all a little bit tired and sleep-deprived. So here in a little bit, Miss Brittany, who's running the comment section. Brittany, say hi.
Hello.
She is going to jump in. So she watched a lot of footage because she just put up our very first TikTok video, Brimstone Forge US on the TikToks. Just put up our very first TikTok video, and she feels that she's watched us work enough that she can do a penny scroll without instruction. And so I think we're going to challenge her and let her give that a try and see what happens with that. How are we doing on heat over here, Levi? Are we ready to do work?
I think we're in pretty close.
I think you're definitely ready. So if you want to get to
I
it,
got a sparkler.
almost. You got a sparkly fire. So go ahead and jump into it. So just like we talked about last week, what we're going to do is, since we're working with round bar, we're going to hammer that square, and you hammer a round square by smacking it a couple times and rotating 90 degrees, smacking it a couple more times, rotate 90 degrees, and continue until you run out of heat. Levi, on that, I would go just a little bit higher on the next heat with squaring it off so you can get a real long, drawn-out taper. And I think that might make your penny scrolls look a little prettier. That thought?
That's the thought that I was having too.
So yeah, that's how we're going to go about doing things. Yeah, sorry there. All right, is my piece hot yet?
Depends on where you're trying to get it hot.
I'm not sure yet. Let's see. Oh, we're not hot even a little bit. So you can kind of see where I'm starting out there. If you were not here last week, and if you weren't here last week, why the heck not? So yeah, there's my state of my curls at the moment. I'm not overly happy with that. That got into the weeds a little bit. If I can get that hot, I'm going to pull that back out and then rewrap that. I would like to get one more mostly curl in there to cover up that space a little bit, and see where we go from there. Just get that little scroll hot. Oops. There we go. Let's not be shy. All right, I'm gonna leave it on the low camera there because Levi's right up. Let's get that hotter. All right. So the reason why I told him to get that hotter, like one, it was just a red heat, and we don't want to make him work harder than he has to. And secondly, I ran out of mild steel because we were messing with it last week, so we're using spring. You don't want to work that too cold because then it gets really brittle, and while he's hammering away, it could just like shatter and break apart. Not shatter like glass, but it'll like crumble and break apart, which is kind of like always dealing with stainless steel, which is not a thing I prefer to do again. About a year ago, I made this doodad, and it just happens to be another penny scroll. This right here, it's got a hook on it, so I can hang it up from my toolbox. But this flat penny scroll, I'll get that hot in a coal fire and use it to light my cigars, which by the way is another HTC, or an HC, whatever it is, HC. And this happens to be stainless steel, put a brass patina on it to be fancy. Like I say, I did not enjoy working with that stainless. I just gotta get better. You hit it too hot, it crumbles and falls apart. If you hit it too cold, it crumbles and falls apart. So you gotta get it that right temperature to where it'll actually move. By the time I was done doing that, I'd broken pieces off and burned off pieces. Like, I just want this done so I can be over with it.
So, why is it on your bucket and not your forge?
Because if I hung it on my forge, I'd forget about it and then not have it when I need it. Because occasionally my cigar lighters, which today is an Oliva cigar lighter, and it ran out of gas like 10 minutes ago. So that happens. Am I hot yet? Nope. Yeah, I know I dug in there a little bit. Don't want to mess with the fan too much today.
Does it take a little bit more to burn the spring steel than it does the mild steel? Or am I going to do the same thing I did to the other ones?
You know, I don't know an answer to that. In my experience, they both burn, so be careful. That I don't know if one is more prone than the other. You know, the spring steel's got more carbon in it, so I wonder if that would make it more prone to want to burn. So that's just my thoughts there. Oh, just like we're doing right there. So go ahead and grab that. Now I'm not going to dip down because it might splatter when he hits it. Oh, not bad. Yeah, well done. So you'll notice he's working from the back to the front, which is the exact right thing to do, but I'm going to show you a little tip if I may. You shouldn't move your hammer across the anvil. You leave your hammer hitting the same spot. Right here is the sweet spot, right? Up the middle and in the center, right there. That's where you're going to get the most emphasis. Emphasis? That's not even a word. While you're hammering, you want to move the metal and hit the same spot in the anvil. You'll get more work out of your stuff done, and people might not make comments about it. Sure. I think I'm about ready to do some stuff. If not burnt out already. Bless you. All right. I burned the crap out of that. Awesome. That's not what I want to do at all. Heck, I might have to start over. Nope, I'm going to get that hot and unroll that. And then I'll fix it that way. Despite the fact I just burned the heck out of it because I was yammering too much. There you go. Good heat. so you're not just smacking the anvil. There you go. Yeah. And I grab my other tongs before I need them, so I don't have hot metal in my hand while I'm much stuff. These are my tongs I mingled in a tire hammer. A little bit close and smacked my tongs. Before I knew it, they were all misaligned, and I just haven't taken the time to fix them. The old ups guy going by. Alright, we'll get that hot and see if we can't recurl that and make that look pretty again. Levi, do you want to do some things and stuff?
Anything? Thinking I probably want to extend that taper back a little bit further, and then I'll start curling. Probably start rounding again.
I would bring that taper to a little bit more of a pointy point before you start. Now, when you round it, you're going to make it pointier.
Mm-hmm.
But I would go at least one more heat and see if you can't get that really thin. And then when you go around it, you'll have a nice long drippy taper, so that first curl will look real nice.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
So taper, get a little bit more point, and then bring it back a little bit further too.
Yeah, I'd say like cover about a quarter of that distance. Left. Quarter thickness. That's just me. It's your piece. All right, let's see if we can't do some stuff here. Yes. Are we on the right camera? We're on the right camera. So what I do? See if I can curl this up. Nope. Close that up a little bit. Close that one up again. Oh, see, that's looking. Boop. That's looking a little better. It's still a little off kilter, but I can straighten it out. That's no problem. See, we're very wobbly here. Doop. I'll get the whole thing hot again to get that fixed up. Now that's not looking too bad if I fix that hook. Set that down just a little bit. We might be almost done with this guy. So yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. I think I want to get that. Now we'll see if my cigar lighter is hot enough to light.
Thank you.
Camera just jumped on it. I just want to double check. We are live on the YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I never got the alert on my phone that we are live. What am I doing? I'm doing something. Let's see what we're doing. Close up those gaps a little bit. hate that I burned that right at the last few. No, we're gonna have to get that hot. Does not want to move. Thank you. I don't want to do that. We'll do it like that. So, having never done a double penny scroll such as this with the hook in the middle, it's just a wild idea that Levi cooked up. Never done it, so I don't know the best way about doing it. But if you know a better way of doing it, throw it in the comments. Shoot me a message. Maybe you want to work from the back to the front. And hear what he's doing. Actually, Levi, why don't you explain to us what the process is here?
So right now I'm just looking for my high spots, and I'm knocking those down to start the rounding process. So going back from square to round. Yeah, that'll take me a little bit of time. That cools off pretty quick.
Sure does.
Despite how hot it is up here.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. Like, we have all this equipment now. Like, we didn't start off like this. Like, I started off with a single tripod with my phone attached to it. The first couple of live streams that were on Instagram. And now we've got 2 cameras, 2 lights, a Wi-Fi hotspot outside, my laptop going. What else we got going on? Oh, we got the shotgun mic. We got all this stuff. We might have to add a big old fan to the kit.
I'm wondering if we should grab one of my old phones and that as the camera control dealio. That way when you get text messages, it doesn't get angry.
It does tend to get angry. But I also feel that maybe that will be less of an issue when I get a new phone, which I heard, this is not an overly reliable source, but they heard or read somewhere that the new phone that I want will be released in the States here in about a month. So
That's pretty exciting.
I'll get a new phone and then we'll just have to see how it goes. I cannot get that hook to be straight. And I want to close that gap. I'm going to close this gap and re-straighten the hook because I'm sure that will. I'm going to close that gap and straighten the hook because closing that gap will move the hook. I think I'm going to call this done. Then I'll hit it with the brush, and then I'll get it hot. And I think I'll put a brass patina on it because you know why? There's no one here to stop me.
I mean, there are people who stop you.
But they can't, and they won't. You ready to do some works?
Yeah.
So now, like Levi was saying earlier, he's got square metal. He wants it to be round. So he's going to go square, octagon, round. And when he gets some of those high points out of there, it's hitting a little bit hard and making it square again. Once he gets most of those lined out there, he'll be able to roll it in his fingers while continually hammering much lighter than that and make it nice and round and pretty. Like he's still going a little ham on that hammer a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to go too fast. Trying to.
Hey man, there's no time limit. We're here all night.
Want to get more done each heat. I'm not as patient as I should be.
That's a great thing about blacksmithing. It certainly helps you learn patience. Close up these gaps a little bit. I don't know what anymore. Oh, nice. Somebody was on the ball there. All right, close up those gaps. That hook is relatively straight. Relatively straight. I'd like to flatten that out, but I can't do that on this heat. So I will do one more heat and get that piece flat. Actually, can I do this? It's mild steel. I might be able to do this. Here's 2 seconds from now when I'm like, hey, I should have got that hot first. relatively flat. That's relatively straight. That hook lines up with the nail hole. So now we're going to do, I want to flatten that out just a little bit more. There we go. So now we're just going to bring this up to a low black heat and scratch it off, because I put some scarring on there with overheating it. Then we'll do a really neat trick to put a brass patina on it, which is a pretty slick trick I enjoy doing. And we will even use the brush that Rochemay, the Great Dane from last week's, she was kind enough to customize the handle on my brush.
Lost too much heat.
Alright, let's do one more heat on that. If you do one more heat on the rounding and lighten up on the hammer a little bit, you will be ready to move on to the fun part. That's just going to be ugly forever. Yep, I'm going to have to hit that with a grinder, but for our purposes, I will show the brush trick. Nobody wants to watch me move cameras out over to the grinder and grind for a half hour. Levi, would you mind if I worked on your piece to give you a couple pointers?
Nope, go right ahead. I'll take all the pointers.
Alright.
So that one is getting kind of clean.
Felt like he was hitting a little bit hard and he was putting on a lot of lines. So you'll notice his quick, easy blows. And I'm working on the outside and continually rolling it with my fingers. I don't know if you can see that. Just rolling it in my fingers. And as the old man says, to it, not through it. So just gentle, rapid strikes. There's a couple more ridges in there, but I don't want to take all the fun from you. So yeah, if you just do it just like that on one more heat, I think you'll be set. I need those songs over there. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So, I don't know what camera is best here, but you take a brass brush. I have to do it over by the camera. I need some support. And if you constantly rub on the black heat with the brush, it takes a second to heat up the brush so it'll start to transfer, because I don't need to work on the back part. But as you brush with the brass will actually come off the brush and transfer to the hot metal and put on a nice fancy antique brass patina. Now, usually you want to try and get this done in one heat, because when you heat it up, you will lose that brass. That's coming out nice. I might be able to get this whole thing going. You know what? I won't brass the bottom part because I'm going to have to grind that anyways. So, I don't know how well that shows up on the camera. But yeah, you can see the top part has a nice brass patina to it as opposed to the flat black metal of the steel itself. So I'll throw this over on the old hot shelf or on the floor. Let that go down. call it done. These brass brushes, I got them. I got like a box of like 20 or 30 of them. I know what camera I was on. Like 20 or 30 of them on Amazon. It was like $12, so I keep a bunch in my box. So I can do that trick, because I like to do that trick a lot. It's a simple little trick, but you don't see it too often. I think you're about ready to do some stuff. So yeah, just like I showed you. So now you can see here that he's going to work on the back and move forward and constantly rotate that piece. Constantly rotate. Blowing away the scale so he doesn't mar up his piece. Yeah. And work all the way down to the very end. Matching our angle when we get to that table. When we run out of heat, he'll take a look at his piece and decide if that's round enough for him.
So that
I think that looks pretty good to me.
might need to round up more back here.
I think that's subtle enough that that'll take care of itself as you roll it up. I'd grab that brush and try and see if you can't get some of that gunk off of there. Please, they don't get a proper farrier block, which is a much better scratchy device. But those are like, I'd have to drive by out there and get them, and I just haven't done that yet. Not bad.
Probably should have looked pick one up when we picked up the forge.
You know, he probably had like 750,000 of them. I did not even think about the farrier block while we were up there seeing Ted up north. So it's my stream. I can't just be sitting here doing nothing, letting you have all the fun.
Of course.
You know, I think I will work on this piece here, if it's not hot. Turn this into a pulse pokier device dealie. Because that would be nice to have. Got a rake, I got to finish my shovel. Now I just need the pokey device. Heck, maybe I'll forge weld the handle just to be fancy. Alright. Do.
If I can do this one without burning it, maybe next week I'll have you show me how to do that haircut thing that you were doing a while back.
Yeah, the hair pin. Need a woman's advice here. What's that called? Hairpin. They're not fun to make, and that's why they're not on the store. Originally, the plan was I made these really cool. I can't remember. I made like 4 of them, and they were going to go in the store. Brittany has one, and then my niece has one, and then there's 2 sitting in a blacksmith shop about 45 minutes north of me. I was going to put those on the store because I thought they were cool. They came out really nice. But heck, I hated making them because you do it kind of like a closed S hook kind of thing, but getting the ends to match in the middle so you had like that perfect infinity was really difficult. And then once you get that matched, you lay it over the horn and you put a bit of a bend to it because, you know, heads aren't flat. So you put a little bit of a curve to it, and when you do that, the ends do that. And so then you have to, it just became a tedious, like, I don't like making these. And because I don't like making them, I know that'd be the most popular thing on my store, and I'd have to make like 400 a week or something. And I started to make a jig, and the jig was only so helpful. Do you have time for me to work before you have to come out? So, like everything, square before we make a tape. Start my scroll. Now remember, you're going to be putting a nail through this, so you want to bite off a little bit more than you think you need to. I go about there, and then just hammer way out at the tip until it matches the face of the anvil. There you go. Just follow it around. Yep, just like that. You got it. I know it's hard to get it. Yeah, built up.
Sure, do anyways. That might still be a little bit vague.
I don't know. That might work out nicely if you decide you want to make the nail for it. Plus, that'll close up a little bit as you roll it. So yeah, again with the square, that's got a really nasty rag on it. But by the time I tape that down, that rag will get out to the end, and I can cut it off, or it might just fall off. Set that taper on the next heat. So yeah, like I'm always poking at the fire, need to wallow out a hole, so I need a pointy stick. So I'll make a pointy stick, I'll straighten that out a little bit, and I think maybe, because why not, I'll roll the handle over into a nice little loop and then weld it closed.
Fancy, fancy.
Which means then I need an S-hook to hang on the side of the forge to hang it from. I think maybe Brittany will make that S-hook. Well, I guess I could use one I've already made too, but where's the fun in that?
Right.
I'd get that a little bit hotter and a little bit higher. That way, because remember you want to be working higher than the curl. Alright. Taper, taper, taper. Boop. Boop. Come on. There we go. So again, I'm working that taper out at the edge of the anvil, and then my hand matches the angle in which I'm attacking with the hammer, so we can get a nice even taper. It's going to look ugly for a while until I work that rag out to the end, and then we'll cut it off. So I spoke about the store, so quick plug, brimstoneforge.us. It's just cigar rests and coffee scoops at the moment. Coffee scoops are made out of copper and steel. And soon, hooks. And like garment hooks. Maybe rifle hooks, because those are kind of cool. And whatever else I just have to throw on the store. If you have ideas, throw them in the comments. Hey Jesse, we'd really like you to make, doo-doo-doo or whatever. I'll make those. There's a nice big eye in there.
A lot more interesting when there's a bunch of curves in the stick.
Oh, the fact the metal's not straight? Yeah, I'm battling that myself. And the reason the metal's not straight is that used to be the spring for a garage door that we had a whole bunch of them at the shop. They were just multiplying like crazy. So one night we got them rip-roaring hot and put them on a post and grabbed them with tongs, and we walked across the shop with them, stretching them out relatively straight. So then we were like 40 feet of searing hot metal stretched across the shop. That's why there's lots of extra little bends and curves and stuff in the steel. Now since I'm mostly poking that coal with this, it doesn't have to be super pointy. Which it'll be fun to try and do a forge weld on a live stream, because you can do everything right and it not work. And then sometimes you do everything right and it works. I'm just using the hardy hole to scratch off some of the scale and burn and whatnot because I let that sit in there too long. Yeah, good enough. So we'll clean that up and make it round. Yeah, sometimes in the forge weld, you'll do everything right and it doesn't weld. And then you reset, you clean it up, and you do everything right, and then it does weld. It's like magic.
I don't know about that. Magic has rules.
Forge welding has rules. Sometimes the metal does not adhere to those rules. You want that to be way hotter.
Yeah. I lost too much
Way
heat.
hotter.
It was a nice forge when I came over, and then I moved too slow.
Or Jesse didn't get out of the way fast enough.
We can blame me on that one. I'll take that one. But you gotta take the next one. How about I just keep burning my metal? I'm gonna blame you for burning my metal because you stood that too long. See? See how that works?
Turnabout fair play.
That's right. Unless it's the TSA. They don't like it when you try to give them a pat down after they've given you one. They get really upset about that. No sense of humor, those guys. Yeah, I did a horrible job because I was busy making jokes and not paying attention to what I was doing. Wow, 20-something years ago. Here's a fun story. 20-something years ago. What year is it? 24? So 21, 20, heck, this story is old enough to drink. So don't drink, kids. It's not good for you. But nonetheless, was on a robotics field trip, if you will. We were going to Texas for the robotics competition. Was on the robotics team. We built a robot. We were going to go compete. Yada, yada, yada. That year we came in second overall, which was pretty rad.
Jumping.
Yeah, I had at it. I'm going to keep the camera on me because I'm the camera.
All right.
So, let's get on. There we go. Going through TSA, and I didn't realize, well, I didn't give it any thought, but I was wearing steel-toed boots. And you didn't have to take off your shoes back then to pass through the metal detector, and obviously the metal detector went off. And this woman walks up to me and she says, "Hey, I'm going to have to pat down your legs below the knee on the outside of your pants to make sure you don't have it. Is that all right?" And I said, "I don't know. You're going to buy me a drink first?" "No, dinner." I asked her if she was going to buy me dinner first. And she gave me a very disapproving look. She didn't find that funny at all. And I said, "Yes, of course, go for it." She pat down my legs and off. So yeah, don't try and joke with the TSA people. They have no sense of humor. How about I just burn the heck out of this?
It makes a nice sparkler. We're close enough to the 4th of July, right?
Yeah, I'm just being patriotic. I'm not being a bad boxer. It's hard to find lines when it's all burnt up. Ooh, that's a nasty scar in there. That's a nasty scar. So we're just gonna cut that stuff off and start over. Too cold to do that on, so we'll get that hot. We have one short poker. I thought you were doing it. There we go. Am I hot enough to cut? Yeah, we'll get that a little bit hotter. I should really yammer less and hammer more. Yammer and hammer. That could have been the name of the stream. Oops. There you go. So I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing? No, we're still working on finish rolling. That's looking really nice. We're getting off kilter, I think. Or you can hold it off yet and hammer back against it so you can get those beads real tight. That looks sharp. I'm liking that.
Yeah.
How much hole do you have in your hand? Oh, you have plenty.
Yeah.
I'd do another full scroll at least.
That's kind of what I was thinking. We just recently got up, like, right about there. We got back up to full size. So do one
Watch
loop at full size and see what we got from there.
trying to cut this towards the middle like you're supposed to, so I'll have less of a rag to deal with. Doop. Bada bing. There we go. That's cleaner. We'll start up. That'll be all right. I'm gonna jump out of the fire there. I think you're about ready to do some work. I need to do some tending here. Done a kid in your way. That's looking really nice.
Yeah. It's not burnt this time.
Oh,
at least
you said
as
it out
burnt.
loud. Said it out loud. You ruined it.
Knock on wood.
Ruined it. Also, quick disclaimer, don't put me on a no-fly list. TSA, you know I'm just kidding. You know I love you.
Would knock on the tree so I don't burn it more.
You know where that whole knock on wood thing comes from?
No idea.
We're in full ramble mode tonight. You guys ready for this one? So, there's very much a thing, part of history and culture and folklore, called fairy trees. And it's really kind of interesting. You see it a lot here in the States, but you see it more in Ireland, where this particular lore comes from, I believe. But there were certain trees in the forest that were believed to be fairy trees, which were like where fairies lived, and or like teleportation devices for them to go from place to place. And when you would go through the woods, you would find the fairy tree and you would knock on that tree as a way of saying, hey fairies, it's just us, we're just passing through, we mean you no harm, just let us go please. And with a little luck, the fairies would leave you alone, and like the wheel wouldn't fall off your wagon, or you wouldn't drop your coin purse or whatever. And because if you did those things, it was thought that the fairies took it, because they are always mischievous like that. And if a tree was thought to be a fairy tree in a path that they are carving, they would go around it. And here in the States, you'll see fields and stuff where there'll be like one lone tree out in the middle because it was a fairy tree. So that's where knock on wood comes from.
It's very ironic working from a blacksmith perspective when just to not be happy with Mary.
Well, I don't think the fairies expected some hairy nerd from the United States to be blacksmithing in his front yard yammering about them and their trees.
Right.
You guys couldn't see it, but Levi kept trying to burn the power cord off of my blower motor by dropping hot metal on it.
Seemed like the thing to do. We need to
Rude.
replace that cord anyways.
Or it could have been the fairies knocking it out of the fire because they didn't like my rendition of their story.
Saying we were talking too much shenanigans.
I'll go knock on the fairy tree. Not forever. And he was never seen again. A little bit easier when you flatten it because you don't want to kill your curves. That's a good looking tool.
I don't think I'm quite hot enough.
Nope. Get it hot. So, Miss Brittany, do we have anybody in the chats firing off questions, comments, requests?
Not at the moment.
Anybody in there confused and putting in like drive-through order by accident? No. I purposefully had a late lunch so I would not be hungry while we were out here doing the things, and that did not work out.
I tried to do the same thing, and I was thinking the same thing.
Didn't work out for you either?
Nah, I probably need to have another round of taquitos at 3 o'clock or something.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock. I just had a bunch of cheese and crackers with pepperonis.
Nice.
It was very yummy.
I think I had that for lunch one of the days I was over here.
And now I'm all out of cheese.
You're never out of cheese.
Well, I only had like the sandwich size slices, no longer the little tiny pieces. But, oh, mother of pearl. I'm going to have to start over again. Oh my gosh.
It looks like you were chewing on it.
It does look like I was chewing on it. To all my blacksmith friends that may watch this, please don't judge me. I'm apparently having an off night tonight.
Kind of looking like high carbon takes longer to burn, but when it does, it's more detrimental.
That could be. I'm going to sit up high in the fire. Maybe we'll bring down that temperature a little bit.
No, it takes me forever to get hot.
Let's turn down that fan just a skosh. Brittany ran off because I think I need to pay the cheese tax. It's hot as heck out here. How's that looking? That's looking really good. You know, let's get a close up on camera number 2 real quick. Look how beautiful that scroll is coming out. Got a nice big loop in the middle. Turning out quite nice. Probably really hot, Levi. You don't want to touch that.
Right? Seemed like the thing to do at the time.
Go ahead, neighbor. I'm going to work this a little bit cold because I apparently don't know when it's too hot. I didn't go to the close-up camera because I don't want you to see how nasty this looks until I get it cleaned up a little bit. Work this slow and steady. When I get to the welding part, I'll probably move those lights out of the way. The cameras might be safe. Certainly don't want to back them up because I don't want to lose that angle. But we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna run and grab a drink.
Yes, please.
I wonder, could you dye metal quenching it in Gatorade?
Doubt it. Do I know for certain? No. But do I have a pretty good idea? Yeah. I would say no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh wow, I didn't need that as much as I thought I did. So quick, Levi, tell us a joke, a funny one that's appropriate.
I don't have those. You don't pay me enough for that.
Let that coal get coked up before we throw it in the actual fire. Yeah, I want to turn that up just a little bit again, because I think I went too far. Did you hear about the 2 antennas that got married?
Hmm.
The service wasn't that great, but the reception was awesome.
Oh, you're just hamming it up over there.
Ah! His ham radio operators use antennas. Brittany, got any jokes?
What does the sushi roll say to the beef?
I don't know.
Wasabi.
Ah!
That's all I got.
I get it.
That's all I got.
That's just making me more hungry.
Gross.
You can have your wrong opinion that sushi is gross.
I agree with Levi. I'm with you. Sushi's not
That
good.
checks out. I went to a sushi place one time with a bunch of friends. I ordered the salmon. And it was, I'll say, uncooked because it doesn't mean that it was uncooked just because it was sushi. Because that just means wrapped in rice. But anyways, every bite I took of that salmon was like, oh, man, that's some good salmon. I wish the heck it was cooked. It was the perfect color and just, it looked so incredible. It's like, dang, you couldn't just throw that on like a flat iron for like 3 minutes?
It was like when Megan and I had our fancy dinner on Friday. She's not a big fan of red meat anyway. And then I got Wagyu carpaccio.
That's all.
It was so good. It was so good. I was so happy.
She was probably a little bit mortified.
100% worth the $32 that I spent on that.
Wow.
And then I had it for breakfast the next morning.
Well, see, you only spent $15 a meal.
Right.
I went to a steakhouse here in, well, up in Fishers. One of our vendors at work was taking us out to lunch, or dinner rather. And I can't remember the name of this place, like 1932, 1931, something like that. And like the cheapest steak on the menu, just the steak, no fixins, no sides, no nothing. $70-something just for the chunk of meat. Cheapest. That was the cheapest one. And I'm looking at these menu items, and they all sounded really good. And I felt weird ordering such expensive food, but the vendor took us there. That was their idea. And the guy sitting next to me, he's like, "What are you thinking?" I'm like, "It all looks good." He's like, "I'm getting that one." I'm like, "Me too," because I can't feel bad if I ordered the exact same thing he did. And that steak was incredible. I was so full. I killed the whole steak and a bunch of sides. If you would have set down another one of those steaks in front of me, I would have ate every bit of it with a big smile on my face. It was delicious. What is the name of that place? 1931 or something like that.
I think it's 32.
Is it
I think
32?
you're right with 32. But I also, no idea. So,
Yeah,
I've never had the money to go anywhere near that place, so
Well, there's what's cool is right next door is a cigar bar, Havana. So when we were done eating, I knew one of the guys at the table liked cigars. I'm like, who likes cigars? And most of them did. Let's go next door. So we all went next door and sat around smoking Padron cigars. So it went from a $100 and something dinner to a $25 cigar. It was a good night. We had a good time.
$20 glass of whiskey to go with it.
You know, I think their old fashions are more like $15 or so.
Yeah, very rarely do you order a well-fashioned one.
True.
That's also fair. But I do remember the cocktail being about the same price as my favorite cocktail at Nikki Blaine's, which is downtown Indianapolis, my favorite cigar lounge. I'm there like once a week. So if you want to meet me at Nikki Blaine's. I'm there once a week. Just don't sit at my table.
Last roll.
That's looking really good. Nice. So what I would do before you do your offset to make that come down vertically, I would correct that wiggle that you have right there, because with that wiggle in there, that could make it more difficult to get that offset looking right, because that wiggle will throw off your eye.
Mm-hmm. So straighten this out, and then I can start rolling up the taper hook.
Straighten this wiggle here, do your offset, and then switch sides is what I would do if this were my project. Oh. Ah. Sitting there giving you advice and I ruined yet another taper. This is just not my night. I'm gonna have to cut that off again. Whose turn is it to cut?